All right, I am here with Adelaide, and Adelaide is 6-year-old, and she is, I'm going to call her a Black Lab Border Collie mix. She looks like my dog Callie. In this video, we're going to go over some tips that you can use if you have a dog that suddenly is not a big fan of somebody in the house, including when they used to be friends. So Adelaide here used to be great friends with, and she still is, with the male guardian that's in the house. The family welcomed in a new addition to the family about 3 months ago. 11 months ago, excuse me. You can tell I really know a lot about kids. Almost a year ago. Adelaide here was rescued from a no-kill shelter, but it sounds like the rescue, there were a lot of things about the rescue that make me a little bit suspect. She was given to them at 6 weeks, which is entirely too young. If you're ever somebody's trying to give you a puppy at 6 weeks, you shouldn't take it, or if you're going to take it, you should take it and find somebody who can actually help it if you think it's in a bad situation. But it's illegal, and puppies really need that enrichment and all the nurturing that they get from their siblings and their mother and all that when they're young. So also, evidently, the rescue wasn't probably as neat and tidy as we would like a rescue to be. So there's some questions and concerns that I have about the rescue. So she did fine up until the baby came. Now, when mothers are pregnant, during the pregnancy and immediately after the pregnancy, they're giving off pheromones, and that chemical change, dogs can smell cancer inside a person's body. So even if it's not pheromones, if it's just the chemical changes in your body, they're gonna sense that. And I think mom in this situation had some other things that are going on chemically in her internal inside that were also contributing factors. Now we have a baby, what's going to happen? There's a lot of stress. We're stressed. It's the first time we're having a kid. That's going to be stressful. Having to be responsible for a little thing that is altricial, meaning it needs a lot of help, is going to also be stressful. The change to the dynamic is going to, and the routine is also going to be stressful. For dogs, when you change things around, that's one of the things that we can stress. Moving furniture can stress dogs around. Bringing a baby that's going to be crying into the house is not at all unusual for a dog to be stressful. Now, dogs have something called trigger stacking. Trigger stacking is essentially when a lot of unwelcome things happen together. It's kind of like a dog version of having a bad day. And so a lot of these things happen, it's going to kind of put them on edge. So I think in her case, I think she was under-exercised. I think that the baby coming created some stress. We're during coronavirus, which is why I'm wearing this. So everybody is stressed out. And then I think that Dad had a couple of minor things that he was interacting with the dog in probably ways that weren't ideal. She had a couple of accidents, and Dad got upset with her because one of them was on the couch, which is very natural. But I think she's a sensitive dog. And so anytime that there's something where we're frustrated, I would like the humans to leave the area so that, because I think she's going to pick up on it more than we realize that she's going to pick up on it. Also, a lot of, and it's not a situation here, but a lot of people think that if the dog makes a mistake that they're a bad, well, actually this part is, the guardians referred to, she was, I can't remember how you guys said it. She was being bad or naughty, I think, at certain times. Now, I always ask people, if the dog is naughty, have you taught the dog how to behave? And I think there was a little bit of miscommunication in that regard as well. So I don't want to get into that in this video. This one's all about making positive associations. So the dad here is doing a lot of great things. He fetches with the dog. He takes the dog for walks, and all these things I think are related to part of the reason why when he's outside with her, she never has these problems. She really doesn't have these problems ever, or very, very seldomly. And these problems have been abating as the baby has gotten older and the routine is set in and all the rest of that fun stuff. So basically, some things that you can do. So if she's shut down that she won't take treats, it's going to be harder to do this. We like, whenever a dog is fearful, if it moves away on its own, we want to let them do that. We always want to provide a safe place for the dog to go. So always make sure that if that's the case, that she has the ability to get to it. Now, let's say that the kennel is behind the camera, and the camera represents Dad, and I'm the dog, and I suddenly shut down, I get stressed, and the only way to get to the kennel is there, well, I might think Dad is blocking the kennel. So if that's the case, Dad should get up and move away so he's not in between the dog and the safe space. The dog can always go to the safe space. Right? She's like, just throw the thing. That's all I really want you to do is throw the thing. Let me see. I also talked about a little bit about petting with a purpose and passive training. I think those things, having her doing things for him, will be helpful. Also looking at her body language. Now, I think the guardians here have kind of figured out some of her tells. I think a lot of it happened when Dad was a little bit frustrated. So we talked about just not being frustrated around the dog. But other things that we can do inside that can help with that. So when she's in this mood, we want to just give her space and let her move away. But I'd love to see Dad going to YouTube and looking up some training videos and trying to teach her some new tricks or commands. Now, one of the things I think when she gets frustrated, I think that's when a little bit she does her shutdown. So the first time you see any of that, definitely stop at that point. But really what we'd like to do is we'd like to read her body language, I know I heard that, before, and stop before she gets frustrated. When it comes to dog training, I usually recommend never training your dog longer than 3 minutes, unless the exercise really requires it. They actually start getting fatigued and bored, and if we get frustrated, the dog can sense we're frustrated, and then the last repetition is what they're going to remember. So when you're doing training, you always want to end on a positive note, and if you can, you want to pet the dog by its ears, or do different things along those lines. Give it a belly rub, play tug of war, or whatever the dog really likes. Now, a body mechanic for a dog, for a proud, confident dog, is to have their nose in the air. Insecure dogs have their nose down. If I pet her on top of the head, I don't know if you can see it in the camera angle, but that after repetition can actually cause the nose to come down. Reaching over the dog can also be confrontational. Also for dogs, front facing, standing as tall as I am is the most commanding position I could be in. When we came in, she was a little bit nervous. And so what I did is I literally turned around and sat down in the door frame, and she came up and sniffed my back. So if Dad ever senses that she's starting to shut down like that, what I'd like him to do immediately is turn to the side and lower himself down. And then if she's still shut down, leave the room by like almost walking sideways and leaving the area if she can't leave on her own. I know, I'm almost done, and I'll throw it again, I promise. And I'd like Dad specifically to only pet under the chin. Well, really just never pet here, but if all things are equal, try to pet under the chin. We'd also like to, I talked about it briefly, petting with a purpose. Passive training. Every time that she does things that we want to make sure we're petting her for those desired behaviors. Every time she lays down, pet her. In this case, I conditioned her that if she lays down, I throw the ball, or this thing. And I'm not doing it right now because I want to keep her in the shot. But if every time she sits, we pet her, or she lays down, or she comes, or she rolls over on her back. Now, if she rolls over on her back and she's giving that weird body language, definitely don't pet her for that. Give her some space. But the more that we pet her for the things that we like, I think the more she's going to feel comfortable and relaxed and start emulating, or not comfortable and relaxed, but more emulating those particular behaviors to elicit the response that she gets. And if we kind of get out of a habit of doing this, so you see her right there. I reach over a little bit, she licked her lips. You can't see it from the camera. Licking of the lips is an indication of stress. So a couple of things, and you want to try to do that again. So when you see her ears shift back a little bit, and she's puckering her mouth, her lips isn't coming out, but she's saying, I don't like your interaction. And so I'm stopping. So whenever you're trying to reach out for her, if she ever lowers her head back, turns her head away or backs away, I want Dad to stop trying to engage with her. A lot of times we forget. We're just like, but I'm gonna pet you. I'm gonna do this. And she's saying, I don't feel comfortable with that. The more that we listen to her, the more that she's gonna feel confident around us. The more that we say, but I'm gonna pet you anyways. Well, she's like, but right now I don't wanna be petted. Now you're making me less likely to wanna be around you. So some of the signs you wanna look for are, and she was definitely give us when we first came in, is leaning. Is the dog leaning away from you? Is it leaning towards you but having its legs almost like pushing away? The dog's almost like having a bit of a conversation itself, almost like a debate. So if you see the dog leaning away from you or shying away from you, don't try to engage it. Give it plenty of space. Let it do what it wants to do. So Dad just came out with the baby. We're not going to show it, but the bark, I just wanted to look. But she seems very intent with the baby.
Might be the outfit.
I think so too.
Okay.
She's
wearing an alligator outfit. We're not going to show the baby. We don't show the humans on these. But sometimes dogs get protective over babies. And I have a lot of clients that look how cute it is. The dog won't let grandma come near the baby. Isn't that cute? No, it's not. That means the dog thinks it can protect the baby. That also means the dog thinks it can correct the baby. And dogs have thicker skin than dogs have thicker skin and coats of fur. So a little thing that might be a minor correction to another dog would really not go well for the baby. So basically, getting back to the warning signs. So if you see her licking her lips, that can be an indication she's uncomfortable. If you see her ears, right now you can see her ears. Can you come over here? Come here. Let's look at your ears. Well, this is a profile about, I think, all we're going to be able to get. But her ear, she has a classic lab ear. It's a squared off rectangular ear or a triangular ear. If you see them shift back, so then that could be an indication she's uncomfortable. Yawning could be a displacement behavior, or it could also mean I'm a little bit stressed. Scratching and sniffing the ground can also be an indication I'm stressed. If you see the tail going down, also being stressed. So if you start looking for that, stiffness, or breathing heavy, or stopping breathing. So if you see any of these things, they might be, and you notice that after she does those things, that's when she shuts down, then we need to identify what those triggers are. So if you see her ears flatten back and her tail goes down, and then after that she does the cowering thing, well then next time you see her ears flatten back and her tail goes down, then we should walk away or try to engage her in doing something that she really likes to do and help her forget about whatever it is. Getting her to move around is a great thing to do. So I'm going to leave some good treats. Try to find a treat that she really likes. And so if this happens, we'd love to see Dad throwing the treats, not necessarily, and a lot of times we throw the treats, and I didn't ask Dad about this, but a lot of times when we do this, if the dog is where the camera is and I want the dog to come eat, I just throw the treats in front of me. So next time that happens, I'd like you to use the very stinky treats I'm going to leave with you, and I'd like you to throw the treat behind her and get her to move away from you. That might help her. Now, if a dog stops eating a treat that you know that she likes, that's an indication of cortisol in the blood. That means they're overwhelmed, and we should definitely look at a way to increase the distance between them and whatever it is they're reacting to. So learning to recognize these warning signs, and if the very first sign that she gives us, if we can get her out of there and go play fetch or do something she likes to do, or get her moving around, that can help her not go to the next particular stage. I'm trying to think what else. You got any other tips?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, this beautiful girl, come here, Adelaide. Come here. Sit. This is Adelaide, and I've taught her actually to lay down. Let's see if she does it here. It's like, just do what I want you to do. Well, I don't want to wait too long for this. I was teaching her to lay down, and then as soon as she laid down, I threw it. But this is Adelaide. She's a beautiful girl, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that suddenly became reactive or fearful about being around someone.